What's going on, everybody? We're just about to get started soon. And we are live. I don't know how everybody is feeling out there today. Make sure my mic is on before I start talking. But we have a lot of really interesting news this week when it comes to the tech world, especially when it comes to NVIDIA's RTX 50 series Super. We all know that we were headed that direction, and we all knew that it was going to eventually come out. But the leaks, I gotta say, are interesting for the most part. There has been very interesting moves made by Intel, and there is a very interesting updates, I have to say, for AMD's RX 9070 XT. Hopefully you guys are excited about it as much as I am. So hopefully everyone is doing well today, because we do have a lot to talk about. This is a open chat, so feel free to ask your questions if you are doing any PC builds or you are planning on one, because it almost seems like it is a great time for it, or maybe you're holding off because you're waiting for that perfect graphics card that you're looking for. What's up, Vergupta? Glad you joined in. Hopefully I didn't put your name over there. And right now I'm just making sure that the chat is fully connected. Sometimes the chat room could be a little bit finicky when it comes to the type of connection, because recently I'm starting to do lives on X as well as Twitch. RTX 3070 with a Ryzen 5 5600, is that the type of build that you currently have, or is it the type of build that you are planning to build? Because either way, that's still going to be a good combination. If you do plan to build with a RTX 3070, if you're able to get one on a great deal, 4070 would be preferable if you could get your hands on one. And as you know, once again, I gotta say about this whole 5070 Super with the extra upgrade when it comes to the CUDA cores going up to 6400, it's pretty crazy, right? Compared to the other Super models, where they're mostly the same for the most part, except the TGP is a little bit more power. You're planning to, okay, and you're buying it used. Okay, if you do buy it used, just make sure you are wary of the product. Make sure to test it out if you can. Is it from somebody you know? Hopefully it is, because the thing about the used market, around the 30 series generation is the time. The 3070 I wouldn't worry about as much. I'd be more concerned about the RTX 3090s than anything. But during that generation, when the 30 series was out, there was a lot of use for graphics cards, such as the 30 series, for mining. So they were using it to really mine Ethereum. And because that it was making a lot of cards bad. And you thought you were buying a decent card, but then it ended up just not being really a great card. But for a 3070, I wouldn't worry about it as much. Same thing with the 5600, I wouldn't worry as much either. Thoughts about Kanye West? Well, all I gotta say about Kanye is I don't know what's up with him, because he is just all over the place, in my opinion. But if you are buying it used, that's probably the best place. I gotta hear what you think. You gotta let me know what you think about the whole situation. But again, this channel is based on PC builds. If you have any questions based on it, feel free to ask. So I am gonna buy it from a good seller. Yeah, for sure, definitely. Then if you do know it's from a reputable seller, then more than likely you're not gonna have any issues. But what's the pricing? Is the pricing fair, you feel, for the most part? Because I know in different countries and in different regions it could vary. So feel free to let me know if you feel the pricing's okay for the most part. And it's still gonna play modern games very well. What type of games do you play, by the way, I have to ask? And for those out there who have the RX 9070 XT, I do have to say, it's pretty incredible that this new update is actually able to push this card with a 9% improvement, as much as a 9% improvement. Some games even seen as much as up to 23% in improvement in Fine Wine, which is based on a Linux type of OS, such as using SteamOS or Bazzite. If you do have a RX 9070 XT, you are going to reap some benefits out of it. So I'm going to buy it from a good seller. It's like $250. I have a Mac right now, but I am interested in PCs. I see. And I'm assuming you're going to be using it for what type of usage, may I ask? Is it going to be for gaming usage, I assume? And let me just make sure I'm connected to this other chat too here. I don't know why it says I got like 3 different chats open, but I think we should be connected okay in the most part. For some reason, it decided to connect on a different chat. Okay, perfect. Gaming and some work. Okay, so if you're going to be using it for gaming and some work, like I'm assuming, is it the type of like productivity type of work? I'm assuming like Microsoft Word, or are you talking more serious work, like into like programming or anything like that? But if it's for gaming, more than likely you're going to be okay. And again, what type of games are you planning to play on it as well? Let me know what you would like to play. And Intel, I gotta say, for the most part, it's pretty crazy with this whole Intel situation. Because with Bhutan, what he says is that, I'll read you the quote unquote, because it's pretty crazy. I actually could pull it up. What's up, Oddly? Welcome in. I gotta tell you quote by quote what this is, because it's pretty crazy for what I've seen here. Let me see. I will search for it right now, because Intel's trying to get it together. We all know that they're coming out with the 18A, but somehow they just are experts at making situations worse than it is. And I'll read it to you because it's pretty ridiculous. Okay, so Lip Bhutan's CEO's new IFS strategy. So for 18A, which is the one that we're looking forward to come out, which is up to 52 cores, and it's apparently losing appeal to him and the company. Reason being is he's considering to stop making it, stop and cancel the 18A. Don't worry about Nova Lake, don't worry about Panther Lake, but go ahead and focus more onto 14A to go up against TSMC. Are you insane to go up against TSMC? That's just, is Lip Bhutan like really working for TSMC at that point? Because that's just, you might as well put yourself in a casket at that point. So Adley says, hi brother. For simple work, you should be good. For a build with 5600 and a 3070, I wouldn't worry about it. Your gaming wise, mostly Fortnite and COD, definitely good. So I am building a PC for game designing, mid-budget PC. RTX 4060, any good? RTX 4060 is actually relatively decent. Believe it or not, it's actually a bit better than the RTX 5060. So if you were to get the 4060, that would be the better option. And if you're using it to do for like PC game designing, I would recommend getting a decent GPU if you can. The 4060 is perfect to start off with because you can always upgrade in the future. It's not like once you get it, you're locked and set and that's it. Because once you get better at your craft, then you can always upgrade to a better GPU. Then another option I would also recommend is you're going to need some decent RAM. You're going to need some good capacity when it comes to your PC. And you want to have a very good processor. You want one that is multi-core, such as something like a 7900X, or even like if you can get like a 9950X, something that has decent cores. If you are more of an Intel person, you can go to 85K since they are on sale. That's a cheaper option. but you are limited to just the 2024 selection of Intel, since they are not planning to do any reiterations for the whole 285K generation, which is LGA 1851. So technically the 3070 is better than the 5060. Sort of, I would say. I more than likely I would say so. See, the funny thing is, like, when you're comparing 2 generations back, such as the 30 series, it's kind of backwards, because the 5060 was supposed to match up to say like the 4060, but then the 4060 cannot compete to the actual 3060. So it's almost like there's an upgrade when it came to the lower end, as the 3070 wasn't actually a 3070. And the 4070 wasn't really like a 4070. Instead, it was like the 4080. But it got completely mixed up. But for the most part, the 3070 is a very good card to be able to do tasks such as gaming. Now, I wouldn't rely on it on something as if you're planning to do any type of game design. You can certainly start with it. But as you get better with your craft, you're always going to want to upgrade, because VRAM usage is also important as well. Same thing with your type of PC build that you're planning. So 64 gigabytes of RAM DDR5, that's a great start right there. And what type of processor do you have? Because that's also going to be very important, because you're going to be doing a ton of rendering. I know a lot of it's going to be GPU wise, based on if you're doing a lot of game engines, but I would also recommend a decent CPU, because you're going to need to be able to something to multitask with, because it's got to be able to take the different loads. So I need help. I need an Ultra 7 265K or a AMD 9700X. So Watao, I have to say, are you more of the person that, how often do you upgrade your PC? Are you the type of person that upgrades their PC every 5 years? Do you wait 5 years to do a new build? Or you try to keep it as long as you can? Or are you more of a person that likes to upgrade their PC constantly? Because this is an important question to ask, because then I can help direct you more towards Intel or AMD. And also, the question I also have to ask you is it going to be based on something? Are you more of a Photoshop person, or more of a type of Adobe type of user? If you are, and you use it for gaming as well, that would also help determine what type of processor would be great for you. Now, hey bro, can you say my name, Alex? Yeah, sure. What's up, Alex? Welcome in. Glad you came in. I appreciate it. 5+. It's a delay. So, gaming 1440p with OBS. Okay. So you're gaming with 1440p OBS. That should be pretty good. Also, are you using it? Once again, I know there's a delay in the feed a little bit, so I'm just waiting for your answer to pop right up. And but if you're using it for Adobe products, or if you're using anything that is more CPU centric, that's also good to know as well. Because if you are, then it may be good to go on the Intel side for that. If you're just using it strictly for gaming, AMD may be the better option for you. And you are the type to seem to do 5+. So Intel actually might be a great choice for you, especially because it's okay. So no photo editing, no nothing. Okay. So what about streaming? Are you planning to do any streaming? I should have threw that in there too, because that's also going to be important. If you are planning this stream, that is something that we can discuss too. Because that's either processor is going to be really good. Now, if you go for the 9700X is the one that you want to go for, then you're going to be able to get away with mostly, you could be able to stream somewhat, and you're able to game. You won't have any issues gaming. And again, if you're the type of person that likes to upgrade every 5 years, 265K is the cheaper option. to go with, because then you don't have to worry about really doing too much upgrades. Now, if you do choose to go the Intel route and you plan to stay with it for 5 years, then I would recommend getting the 265K, as it is a value option, and you can get some decent selections, such as the 265K also has a lot of bundles, such as if you buy that processor, you can get the RAM, and you can also get the SSD with it. So Intel would be great for that, especially if you're not really that much of an upgrade person. So is the MSI... No problem. No problem. Smash like boom. Yes, just OBS. Is MSI B550M VDH Wi-Fi a good motherboard? Yes, it is. It's a great motherboard, in fact. So you are not going... You're definitely headed to the correct direction with your build. So the 9700X is only 8 cores and 16 threads, right? But that's exactly what I mean. The 265K may be the better value option, because again, you could get it really cheap, to be honest. It's practically like spending under $200 for a 265K. And Intel may get a bad rep, but their processor is certainly worth more than what they're charging. I mean, what they're selling it for. And the motherboard that you are going to choose with it, which one would you pick out of curiosity? I highly recommend ASUS's. If you're looking for any, I would say ASUS's Tough Gaming. If you're looking for more of a budget type, or MSI's Tomahawk is also a great option for Intel. Now, okay, with the recent water cooling patents falling off, do you see graphics cards coming back, or aesthetics downfall during... To be honest, Robert, I do have to say that's a great question that is posed here, which I will gladly highlight here, because this is a great commentary, actually. In fact, that because water cooling seems to really have gone down the drain, everything seems to be gravitating a lot more into silent builds, or should I say more like stealth builds, such as no RGBs, just focus on pure performance, more sleeper builds more than anything. That is more of the growing rate, I can say, because a lot of people are starting to get more tired of dealing with the software side when it comes to RGBs, or even the water cooling side, where you have fitment issues, or you got to worry about leaks, or you got to clean out the system. So it seems that stealth builds are certainly growing in the industry. Certainly. Oop. What's up, Adley? So 14400F Intel. I chose this knowing it's in my budget. If you know any good processors, Intel under 15K, please tell me. Okay. My personal favorite, if you're trying to look for a decent processor, is the 14600. It's great for gaming, and especially if that's what you are looking for. What's up, Pla? Good to see you. Obviously, I still could upgrade my PC, but I was thinking of selling my Switch and PS4 for a PS5. What's my thoughts of PS5? PS5's a great system. The only thing I'm disappointed about the PlayStation 5 is the lack of games that they produced. Original games. Mostly everything has been either remastered, but if you're asking on the hardware side, it's great. It's very easy to upgrade your SSD in there compared to something like an Xbox, where you can't. You would have to buy their flash storage in order to upgrade. But other than that, graphic-wise, it's pretty decent. It's good for the year that it came out, as it uses AMD's GPU, and it's actually performs really well. In fact, Death Stranding 2 is an excellent game. That's one of the games that I've heard a lot about, and something I personally wanted to try. In fact, I even got Death Stranding over the weekend. Not Death Stranding 2, because I still have to finish the playthrough of the first one. But yeah, it's not a bad choice. I always recommend going to the PC route if you can. Just go budget PC, because once you go PC, it's really hard to go back, and you're not limited to just a Xbox controller, but you do have limitless bounds when it comes to PC gaming. So you can use any controller of your choice, especially if you don't like something like keyboard and mouse. So yeah, ASUS Tough, check it out. I do have it on the page. On the Z890 side, I do have Gigabyte's AORUS Master. You can feel free to check that out, but of course that's a little bit more. The Z890 boards should more than likely start to drop down a lot more in price. And wait till the Prime deals. I can't wait to unleash them. They'll be unleashed this upcoming Sunday for everybody out there who is looking for Prime Day deals to build a PC. And you can build a pretty high-end PC for really cheap, actually. So Watal says, really got my eyes on the 9070 XT, but they releasing a new one later this year too, I think. It's possible. You're certainly right. That's something we have discussed. It's possible that they will come out with a high-end one. But I think with the way AMD works, or they think, is that if we do see one, we're not going to see it probably till around CES time. I have a feeling that they'll debut the same time as NVIDIA does, if anything. Because NVIDIA will show off their 50 series Supers, AMD will show off their weapon, because at least if it is a high-end card compared to all the cards that they want to show, like the 5080 Super, and they have a 9080 or a 9090, depending on whichever they call it, then it can certainly outshine over the 50 series Super if that's the case. Hopefully AMD does put that in their playbook. I hope that they do, because then it will certainly draw a lot more attention to AMD over NVIDIA in that case, marketing wise. I think you have 2 streams running by accident when that's a good mention, Pla. One's actually just a vertical and one's a horizontal feed. So hopefully, if you are on a PC, the horizontal feed's probably more of what you're looking for. If you're on a phone, you're probably looking for the vertical feed. That's why I got 2 different feeds. Fortunately, YouTube doesn't allow a hybrid feed for some reason, so I have to have 2 different streams going on. What's up, Crescent Mood Herd? Welcome in. Yeah, no problem, Madali. I'm glad I can certainly help. But yeah, it's 9070 XT has been quite incredible. Definitely a great a purchase option, I would say. I've seen a lot of new faces here, and if you're not familiar with my channel, I'm Chris Mizo. I talk about PC and tech, but I haven't stopped talking about this 9070 XT. I've had multiple GPUs for this year, and really got to see a lot of them in action. 5070, the 5090, the RX 9070 XT, and I do have to say that the 9070 XT has certainly been the most impressive out the bunch. And if I were to personally rate it, again, this is non-sponsored whatsoever when it comes to these graphics cards, that I have to give it to 9070 XT, even over the 5090. You might ask, why would you give it over the 5090? The 5090 is obviously more superior when it comes to ray tracing, path tracing, and it even has up to 32 gigabytes of VRAM. Why would I select the 9070 XT? And the main reason is because the value, and on top of it, the drivers actually work, which is pretty funny to say because AMD always gets a bad rep for having just terrible drivers, but for AMD this year, this wasn't the case. In fact, it's outperformed my expectations. That's just how good this card is, especially on how well it runs. Every game that I throw at it has no issue, and it's running on 1440p on a lot of these tests. Later, I'm going to be running more 4K tests, but I am waiting for a certain 4K monitor to release, and when it does, I will be running more 4K tests on the 9070 XT on that side. But they have pushed out a firmware update or driver update for the 9070 XT to where it's even pushed the performance even further, which is pretty insane. As I was telling you guys, the performance is there. It can push up to 9% in improvement. Over fine wine, it can go up to 23% in improvement. So it just shows you how good this card really is. Where with the RTX 5090, I'm just worried about like the driver actually working correctly. And luckily, it's been getting a lot better since the June updates. I haven't really faced any issues, but they do exist. So, all right, let me go back up here. Sorry about me just going off there, but okay, perfect, Pla. So the last driver update 5 days ago gave the 27% boost in games with the 9070 XT nipping at 5080 speeds, which is pretty insane, right? So I might get a base 9070, about 10 to 15% worse performing than the XT, but still is really good. Now, if you do plan to get the base 9070, it's a great card to get, especially if you're going 1080p gaming. You're not going to really notice the difference, to be honest. It's more or so if you're trying to push the envelope further, if you have a better display. If you're pushing either higher resolutions, like you're pushing at 1440 at 240 hertz, you're going to want more VRAM in that sense. Now, Ali says that he has an Intel Core i5-13400F with the MSI B760M Bomber Wi-Fi motherboard, Gigabyte RTX 4060 Eagle. Great card, by the way. Kingston Fury Beast RGB DDR5 5600 mega transfers. It's your Predator GM7000 2 turbo. That's an interesting choice. Ant Esport Mesh Mid Tower Case. Ant Esport. Yeah, you sound like you're pretty much all set for the most part. I gotta say, Acer has certainly been underrated when it comes to PC gaming. And I gotta say, it's really a decent build that you have here put together. Do I see anything that sticks out that says this isn't a good build? No. Everything that you selected is good. Now, for the most part, the latency is what you want to look for when it comes to the Kingston RAM here. 32 gigabytes is plenty. That's okay. And you said you're using it for graphic design, right? If anything, like I said, if you are using this one for graphic design, I would highly suggest going off of, instead of 13400F, try to at least go 13700. That would be the better choice, I would say. Because you'll have a lot more cores. But, of course, you can always upgrade later down the line. You can upgrade up to the 14th gen even, if you want to, Ali. So you can start the build if this is what you can afford now, and then you can always get another processor later down the line. But if you can, try to max out your processor, especially for the type of work that you're planning to doing, especially like something like graphic design. It's going to be very demanding out your system. But that would be the most I would push out. The cooler's good. Eventually, you're going to want to upgrade the cooler. I'm not too sure how well Ant is. Yes, 14700F would be the better option. If you can get the 14700F, yes, that would certainly be better. Now, just to let you know, when it comes to the F series, when it comes to Intel, they're not going to be clockable like how the Intel, if you choose to get a 14700K, you can actually, you can overclock it if you'd like. But if it gets the 14700F, you'll have pretty much like almost like a locked CPU. So if you're okay with that, that's great. If you're not into doing any type of overclocking, not everybody is. So if you're not into tuning your PC, then dealing the F, right? That's what I figured. That's why I'm saying the 14700 would be the best choice. Yes, because you're going to need multi-cores. If you're just using it just for gaming, then I would say go with the 13400 would be perfect. But if you are using it for game designing, I would recommend at least a 14700. Makes sense? Because, for example, if we were to go into something like, let's go into 3D Max, right? In fact, let me... about this? I'll try Unreal Engine. Yeah. So they're even recommending, as I thought, so the minimum they recommend is 8 cores. Now the 14, now if you're looking at the 13400F, that has 10 cores. So that's like just the bare minimum there. Because the minimum they require when it comes to something like if you're into Unreal Engine development or anything like that, the minimum is 8 cores when it comes for that. So you want to push higher than if you can. The higher, the better, because you need the multi processors. You need the multi cores when it comes to the processor. So 14700F is like under 15. You tell me. That's something I have to see how the pricing is. How does it compare to the 13400? And my question is, how's the pricing compared to it? If it's lower, then that's a better deal. Honestly, if the 14700F is cheaper than the 14, then the processor that you're planning to get, then I would say go 14700. If you could push further, you can. Again, you just gotta let me know how much you can really spend. It's like 38. Oh, really? On Amazon, it's very expensive. Try then, if anything. How about this? Try looking up the 13700 then. See if that's any cheaper. That might be a bit cheaper. Because your board can go up to the 12th generation. If anything, go 12900K, to be honest. 12900K would be nice. It's very expensive. Oh, okay. Yeah, okay. How about the, look at the 12700 then, at least. Because even then, that would be better. Because I'm trying to get you more cores. That way you can use it for more development usage. And that would certainly work out a lot better in your favor, for sure. But yeah, it's quite incredible. I gotta say, when it comes to the 9070 XT, I can't say just how great AMD has been this year, and they just constantly keep proving it. Now, it's funny, I did read a comment earlier about the whole 50 series Super, and somebody feels like that NVIDIA just constantly just tries to force AMD to push their pricing down. In a way, it's true, because when you really do think about it, if these Supers come out, and say if they are the same exact price, that's great for everybody out there if it is. Like, for example, if the 5070 Super is going to be the same price as the 5070, which allegedly it's supposed to be like at $600, if it matches that same price point, then technically it should drop the 5070 price down, right? But what NVIDIA does is, instead of actually selling the 5070 anymore, they'll take it off the shelf and just sell the Supers. Same thing with the 5070 Ti Super. When it comes to the 5080 Super, and who knows if they do decide to release a 5090 Ti, they're not going to call it a Super, they're going to call it a 5090 Ti, and if that holds any weight, which I don't believe will actually happen, because we haven't seen it with the 4090. They haven't tried to release a 4090 Ti. I think they learned from the last time they did release a high-end card that was a Ti variant, such as the RTX 3090, and they saw it didn't do as well, and nobody wants to spend extra money on a Ti variant, especially if it's going to perform mostly the same, if it has the same cores, except it's going to be a fully unlocked GB202 board, which would be nice, but we all know that's not going to happen, and that more than likely it's still just going to be 32 gigabytes of VRAM. There's probably not going to be any improvement when it comes to the VRAM, so Ti variant, I think, is highly unlikely when it comes to the 5090. So, yeah, very expensive. It's okay. So the 13700F is like the same price of your GPU. That's pretty insane, I have to say. I have to say that's pretty insane. So how much is, so the 4060 is how much that you're spending on? Because the 13, it'll be worth it to get that processor. You will notice a big difference if you are trying to develop in something like an Unreal Engine. You will not have a very pleasant experience when it comes to using something like a 13400F. Because you're going to need the multi-cores for sure. So if that is the case, say if 5070 Super does come out and they do end up selling it for that same price, it's, what do you think what will happen to the AMD's RX 9070 XT? It's going to have to fluctuate somewhat. They're going to have to drop the price to keep up with the competition, especially if they're promising something like up to 18 gigabytes of G7, which is a improvement, obviously, over something like 16 gigabytes of G6. You're having a much more quicker memory clock compared to the NVIDIA card, and of course you have better ray tracing. So of course it's going to drop the price down a bit. It's going to have to drop down at least like $50 at the minimum. But again, AMD knows what they're doing, because they did push out this firmware as soon as, it's just funny how the timing works, because with all this 50 series Super talk, and now they pushed out this firmware, and now their hardware, such as the RX 9070, can even push further. They could really push the envelope much further than anyone could really imagine. And again, they have proven really well, as their drivers have been less troublesome. And it's really been a blast messing with it in something like Bazite, like a full desktop build. Something that everybody has to try out at least once, I have to say. But again, oddly, I highly recommend getting a multi-core processor if you do plan on game development. You will have a much better experience. If you can't, that's okay. You can always end up upgrading later when you do have the funds to do it. There is no rule on you saying that you have to have all the best components from the beginning, as I'm sure that you're currently still just practicing and learning with your skill. And as soon as you get better and once you have better funds, you can always upgrade that processor. The farthest, the max processor you can really push out onto that motherboard is going to be the 14900K, or get the 14900KF, which would be even better. That would be the best option, and you will have the best experience with something like that, because you're going to have plenty of cores to play with then. Some guys are saying that RTX is saying to take the RTX 12 gigabyte or 5070 Ti 16 gigabyte, not RTX 4060, because of 8 gigabytes of VRAM, but I think it's a good deal in the price that I'm getting for 280. Well, like I said, it's like, again, it's about your budget. If you can afford it, if you can really afford going to 5070 Ti, you can get it. But 5070 Ti is much more expensive than getting something like a 4060. That's what it was. That's what I was trying to say earlier, because I couldn't remember exactly what it was. But the 4060 was kind of like a downgrade, and the 5060 was kind of a downgrade in itself. And that's what it was the VRAM. I completely forgot about that. So for the 3060, for the 5070 Ti, once again, if you can afford getting it as part of your build, it's probably going to make your build a lot more expensive, especially if you're upgrading these two components. Oh, really? How come? I wonder why. But I do appreciate the thought, though. I do appreciate much of the thought of your donation. I do appreciate it. But like I said, you let me know your budget because I don't know how far your range is. It sounds like you have a little bit more flexibility. If you do, then if you can get a 5070 Ti, or even getting a I guess the next best option would be the 5070 Ti, to be honest, because every other option I'm thinking of, they do have a 16 gigabyte variant in the 5060, but it's not really the best. What's up, Cap? Good to see you here. Welcome in. I'm glad you made it. Yeah, I'm trying to do these streams a little bit earlier now because I know a lot of the Europeans out there, especially who like to tune in, it's a little bit harder for them to tune in if I start later. So I've been trying to start a bit earlier. I've been starting at 6 Eastern time anyway. Now, but I've been good. How's everything with you, Kat? I'm exhausted though, to be honest. Next week is when I actually start to board the flight for Taiwan and everything. So get ready for that. I can't wait to take you to the land of tech. Personally, I can't wait to see my family there too. It always feels like a long time, but I feel like I really need it. I'm hoping that the NVIDIA Center, I gotta look that up. Let me look that up real quick. I'm curious if NVIDIA has started doing any building. Because they got a foundry that they're building now. Not a foundry, but a company that they're coming out with. Yeah, that's their office in Taipei. Yeah. Well, I'll look for it. Once I do, I'll try to go live with you guys. 1,050 in USD. And okay, so see the pricing I know in your area too is going to be different compared to USD. Now for us in the US, 1,050, you cannot. That would just buy you an RTX 5070 Ti and that's it. I would imagine it's probably a bit more expensive where you are too at 5070 Ti. Am I correct? Because then that's practically gone after that. But finally working on the PC, so I'm fine. I know how it feels to be far. Yeah, it really isn't. It's been too long. And you know what's the crazy part is? It almost seems like everything. It seems like during the whole planning and thinking, every time I get close to the event, I always feel like there's always something happening that I have to take care of. Like it's a good reminder of life, saying like, just to know that your life isn't going to be this easy. I'm gonna have to throw something in your path to make sure that you got to get through this obstacle. And it's almost like life keeps throwing stuff at me. But yeah, it can be tough. But I think a lot of these feelings will resolve once I get there. I think it's like mostly like a lot of different pressures in life, as I'm sure we all know how pressures of life can really be. TSMC Phoenix went live in February, and Intel Phoenix Foundries is currently in the process of going live. Okay, awesome. Yeah, it's funny too, because I've read so much about that plant in TSMC's in Phoenix, because there's like been people. It's so funny. Like, just go on Glassdoor.com and you got to see like some of the reviews that these people are saying on TSMC, because it's like it's a whole different culture like when it comes to it. And the thing about especially when it comes to like Asian culture and work, it's like it's all about work. Like their life is into the work. So you have people that are complaining because they're not having as the weekends off, and they're not getting off the holidays that they want, and but they don't complain really much about the bonuses that they're getting. So it's just that's again, it's a whole culture shock for anyone that tries to work at that TSMC plant. It seems. My father just scolded me for staying late night. It's like morning. Oh, I apologize. I've been trying to go early for you guys. You will feel joy once you get there, even if you struggle. Yes, I agree with you, Cap. When life gets hard, buy a motorcycle. The thing is, I would love to, right? Honestly, I love riding a bike. The problem is when I love to take it out in a place like when I'm in Taiwan because there's a lot of scenery. You can ride the mountains. There's a lot of different things to see. The only thing is here in a place like in South Florida, in Miami, I'm afraid I'll get hit by somebody. That's the only problem. And there's Miami's beautiful and everything, but the only places you could really go to really enjoy a ride is like going to the waterfront side, towards the beach areas, and but other than that, it's just pure chaotic and danger, like riding around here. It's funny, just the other day too. Like I saw somebody. It's not really funny, but I did see somebody end up like on the road. Of course, you always see like somebody get into some sort of motorcycle accident. But yeah, it's just terrible. The driving, if you ever drive in South Florida, it's crazy. But hopefully you do get that PC build. Really think about the build you put together, oddly, I have to say. Because if you're really focused on game development, take your time to build it. Don't rush your build. Really focus on the key components that can improve your game development. So the two main things, well, really three main keys you really need are going to be your CPU, your GPU, and your RAM. Three main keys for that. It's about PC talk. Yes, that's what I'm talking about now. Game Factory. But that is what I would mainly focus on. Is that if you're still here, Adley? I don't know if you got shut down there. So what is everybody's thoughts about that? I have to say about NVIDIA's Supers or the RX 9070s XT. Any questions about any PC builds anyone is currently going through now? I have to say I'm really happy with my 9070 XT. Yeah, that's awesome. Because the 9070 XT, I'm glad to hear people are really enjoying it. I really haven't heard anyone really throw any shade at it. Because 9070 XT has been a champion. Please, oh, certainly will. Oh, don't forget to like and subscribe, Adley. Hopefully I'll see you next time. Hopefully you got all your components ready to go. Bro, what specs for a 4K PC? I'm doing streams and edits. Is there any specific brand that you want to go with? Do you prefer AMD or Intel? Because when it comes to streams, 4K, just doing streams and edits. Now the question is, when it comes to edits, are you using something like DaVinci or are you using something like Adobe? Which one are you preferably using? And do you prefer, I'm assuming you're going through Windows too, using a Windows OS. And if you're mostly streaming, maybe a bit cheaper. Okay. DaVinci. Okay, perfect. Honestly, DaVinci's great. I want to get out of Adobe, to be honest. I'll be honest, I am so angry with NVIDIA between the minor scalpers and now most production is going to AI and be a long time before I buy. Yes, and that's the problem. NVIDIA is very good at cornering the market. And that's the shame. NVIDIA will take full advantage of that. I have to throw in there. But if you are looking for, so if you're going DaVinci, I would go AMD. 100% go AMD. So go if you have the funds of doing a stream edit and you're not trying to spend a whole ton, you could start with something like a 9800 X3D, or you can even, if you have a little bit more, you can go 9900X or 9950X, 9950 X3D, depending on your budget. Now, when it comes to your GPU, you want to get something like you could go with a 9070 XT because you're using DaVinci to edit. And personally, I got to say, like, when it comes to editing and for streaming and for both gaming and everything, it's better to go NVIDIA RTX 5070 Ti at the lowest. You want to go, or RTX 5080. Either one would be a great choice for you. RAM wise, go up to about 48 gigabytes would be the shortest amount I would say to give. 32 gigabytes is a minimum, but I would push higher because, again, you're streaming, so you want to go 48 to 64. And also you want to get some decent storage. You want to get up to like about 2 terabytes of storage. And with cooling solution would probably be best going AIO. And for power supply, get something that is pushing for, at least if you're going with something like a 5070 or a 5070 Ti, 5070 Ti or a 5080, it's best to get something like at least 1,000-watt power supply. And that would probably conclude most of the build there. Of course, if you need help, feel free to contact through Discord. I will send a Discord now. I tried to fix the code. Let's see if it works. I put an if-else code in here, so I hope it works. I haven't really got to really mess with it, but I'm going to send my Discord, and hopefully it doesn't repeat. And it failed. I think it has something to do more with the stream than anything. Yeah. Definitely got to fix it. I think I made it worse. It's funny because the thing is I can't really test it unless I go live. So I gotta do the testing when I go live. I'll just copy this code, and next time I'll just send it. No problem, Game Factory. And bro, in my case, I am using Adobe Premiere, Photo, Lightroom, After Effects, DaVinci Resolve, Unity, and FL Studio and Blender. So if that's the case, Intel's still a great choice for you, because the reason why I recommended him AMD is because he's not using something like Adobe. You're using Adobe, and Adobe is more oriented towards Intel when it comes to this type of that type of environment. And your Intel processor can work well with all the other cases such as Blender if I may ask, why are you using both the Premiere and Adobe? Premiere and DaVinci. Unity, I wouldn't worry about. Again, Intel's going to work fine with it. FL Studio. What's up, Alex? Welcome in. Yeah, I got to fix my code. I don't know if you saw the code that I threw in there, but it came out as a mess. It was not good. I think it just repeats in the streamline. Maybe in the chat it's not repeating as much, but it repeats if it's on the video. I think I heard someone just enter on Discord here, and if anyone doesn't know, I do feature. Yeah, pretty funny though, right? I do feature people on Discord. If you feel like showing off your PC build, feel free to show it off, and I will certainly show your build onto the live. So feel free if you have any questions. And pretty soon I'll get started. As soon as I get back from Taiwan, we'll start doing some more live interviews or live questioning. If you guys would be interested in doing that, feel free to join Discord, and you can be selected to go on live as well. But for the most part, I do agree. Let me go back up to Robert's point here. which he says he is so angry with Nvidia between miners, scalpers, and now more production going to AI. It will be a long time before he purchases another Nvidia product. I get that, and it almost seems like Nvidia has become a company where they care more about profit more than anything. What's up, MuzCon? Good to see you. Hopefully, I just came up with that one, MuzCon. Glad to see that you're joined in. Hopefully you're doing well. Hopefully everyone is doing well. Let me know how your day or evening is going, depending where you are. I got my graduation. Oh, congratulations. That's a big deal. DaVinci for color correction and Adobe Premiere. Ah, okay. I get it. You know what's funny? I noticed too, and actually it's on my camera, matter of fact, since I upgraded my camera, not upgraded, but more or so updated the firmware on the camera, that I'm able to have the color grade and integrate it in there. So I have to use DaVinci for that. And I prefer DaVinci anyway. I just got stuck in the Adobe subscription for 12 months. And luckily, this is my 12th month coming up. So I got to make sure to cancel out of Adobe. And I want to focus more on something like DaVinci and get into... there's another product that I can't remember the name of. Infinity Studios, instead of dealing with Adobe. Because I just feel like with them, it's just like... non-stop issues. Yeah, no problem, Adley. I'm glad you joined in. DaVinci, yes, DaVinci is awesome. It's very fluid, and it's amazing how much use you can get out of DaVinci for practically free. The only things I would miss, which I could be wrong, I haven't gone that deep into DaVinci yet, is if I'm able to create graphics and everything on DaVinci. I haven't messed with that side of it. If I can, that would be really nice. But I got to look into it more, and I have to learn it more because, again, this month is about to end anyway. And I got to make sure to cancel, I think, before the 25th. What's up, Zaylink? Good to see you. Welcome in. I use it on my MacBook Pro. My feeling is us gamers built NVIDIA. I agree. 100% agree with that. The second these other markets opened up, which had better margins, they dumped us like a temporary place. So, yeah, practically, we're kind of like the ordinary girlfriend, and they see this slamming model that they were like, you know what? That's what we like. I use it on my MacBook Pro. NVIDIA releasing what the 5080 should have been with the super variant. I agree. I do agree with that. What do you think of... I gotta ask everybody out there, what do you think of this 5070 Ti variant? They're saying it's possible that it could go up to 24 gigabytes of VRAM. I kind of feel like this can't be real, because it wouldn't make sense, especially like up against, like, say, their RTX 5080 Super, where that's also going to be 24 gigabytes of VRAM. It's just a little bit quicker. It's going to be based off of 32 gigabits per second compared to over 28 gigabits per second, which would be the 5070 Ti. That's the only difference between the two. Not a large marginal difference, but they would practically have the same amount of VRAM space, which is pretty insane. Well, what's interesting, Alex? I gotta know. And I really, really hope that AMD throws a bomb for once. And I hope that at CES they just bombard NVIDIA with this RX 9080 or RX 9090. Imagine how nice that would be for once AMD gets a win. Because NVIDIA certainly had dropped a bomb on AMD on CES 2025. And they just were dumbfounded, because how could they compete against NVIDIA's pricing and what they originally promised, which was 4090 performance with the 4070. Of course, anyone would get scared, especially for especially for the pricing details and performance wise. So they waited 2 months before they premiered their cards. But in CES, AMD could do the very same thing. They could drop a 9080 and 9090, which can be the better GPU, and it could be a much more it could be much more friendly in pricing. It might not be very cheap. It's still going to be like around 1500, but it's still going to be better than what Nvidia certainly is showing. While DaVinci is good for masking, it's much better when it comes to masking and color grading. I'm very interested in the 5070 Ti Super. That's what I'm interested in too. The 5070 equals 4090 equals 15. Yeah, it's only logic, right, Cap? 9090 XT would go crazy. I agree. Can you imagine if they just dropped that 9090 and it just had 32 gigabytes, especially if it's G7? That would just completely shock Nvidia. They would have no idea what to do, especially because it's going to be like more like of a 5090 competitor. Now, I do know that the ray tracing might not be as well as the 5090, but it's going to be something that is promised by AMD that we know is going to work, at least driver-wise, and it's definitely going to be cheaper than an RTX 5090. It has to be, because these prices for the 5090 have not dropped. They're still very expensive. You could easily spend $2,700 to $3,000 for a 5090, which is why I always recommend. Oh, he went right through. That's why I always recommend anyone who does have a 4090, don't even think about a 5090. It's going to be the same thing. It's a 5090 is a 4090 Super practically, or a 4090 Ti. So, Robert says, man, I'm looking for Intel to come into the GPU room like a gorilla. Now that they aren't beholden to the TSMC for their allotment, we know they can keep up and they have deep pockets still. They certainly do. I'm just curious how they're going to do it, because they threw, they're practically saying, let's scrap 18A, let's focus on 15A, like right off the bat. Forget about Nova Lake and forget about Panther Lake. Let's go into a whole different generation. So it sounds like they already had plans for this whole 18A for a long time, and they already were working in the works of 15A. But I'm really curious to see what Bhutan is going to bring with Intel for the most part. Exactly, they were apparently scrapped 4090 Ti, probably was the base of the 5090. I agree, because again, it's the same exact node. It's no different. It's 5 nanometer node, right? When it comes to the RTX 4090, the 5090 is also a 5 nanometer node. The architecture is just different. You have Ada Lovelace versus Blackwell. And you have one card that is pushing more power through it. That's why it's more powerful. You have one card that's pushing 575 watts compared to over 425 watts. So I trust Intel more than AMD. Sorry to AMD lovers, but I feel safe when buying Intel cards or NVIDIA GPUs. You mean, okay. So I get it. Everyone has their opinion, and I get how you feel about AMD. And unfortunately, like when it comes to the whole Intel side, people are not happy with Intel for very good reasons. When it comes to the processing side, is because there's plenty of times where they messed up the whole process when it comes to releasing their chipsets, especially when it came to the 9th generation and 10th generation. Ever since then, that's where it went downhill, because 9th and 10th generation were practically the same. And then it seemed like things were improving when they released Alder Lake, which was the 12th generation, but then it kind of stagnated from there. It seemed like they were trying their best to compete with AMD. They just for some reason refused to really use the technology that they had access to them. Instead, it was like almost like more profitability, more profits than anything, more profits than tech. And hopefully Intel has improved on that side. If they did, I would be happy for them, because there does need to be more competition in the processing space. Same with the GPU space. If there's more competition, that means pricing can finally be cheaper for once. So, I wonder how us youngins Gen Z preserve NVIDIA and Intel, as most of us started playing PC games in 2017, so we have less of an emotional attachment to these companies, unlike you guys. That's true. Yeah, I'm curious how you guys think. So I want to see 9090 XT already. Me too. I would love to see it. Exactly. There was apparently a scrap 4090 and oh, okay. I trust Intel more than AMD. I really like AMD in every way because of the micro GPUs. NVIDIA only does it with companies like Nintendo. Intel is the underdog now. Yeah, I do agree. Intel is certainly the underdog now. AMD was like that for a long time. AMD was the underdog for, I would say, about 6 years ago. Not that long ago, like 6 years ago. 5-6 years ago, AMD was the underdog. Nobody wanted an AMD processor. Everybody was Intel. But you see how the landscape completely changed over the course of 5-6 years. Now nobody even talks about Intel like that. There's very few that do. And in fact, speaking of integrated graphics, if you're talking about like NVIDIA, they used to develop a lot of the Tegra chips. They focused a lot with Nintendo. They used to have more Tegra chips that actually came out like with different tablet devices. In fact, there's one tablet behind me with the NVIDIA card. I don't know if you can see it in the stream or not. It's kind of in the corner. It's like practically an old tablet from 2012. It's an ASUS tablet. Funny enough, it's a ASUS Transformer tablet, and it actually has the Tegra 4 integrated GPU in there. Was one of the best at the time because I always thought that maybe tablet was going to be the next thing to gaming, because you could just have a controller and hook it up to a tablet. But you kind of see how that space kind of went down. And unfortunately, it seems like tablets and phones are honestly a bit more suited towards more casuals than anything. But again, the landscape can always change in that side if that does happen. But NVIDIA used to have integrated graphics all over the place before. I remember seeing the film where Intel was engraved in future tech in 50 years. Oh, really? That is funny. And I remember there was a lot of different shows and different movies, like where involved time travel, where people are like, man, or they would say things like, I wish I invested in Intel 10 years ago or 15 years ago. Now, if they just repeat that same phrase, not that like today, it wouldn't sound so smart. I like AMD as AMD focused on gamers, while Intel is now focused on cheap basic consumer PCs and cheap laptops. Yeah, that's what it practically is at this point. But I think Intel certainly is wanting to take back the crown. I think they are desperately looking to try to get the crown back, or even be in the same space as AMD. Fortunately, at one point, Intel was so high above AMD, everybody actually forgot about AMD, and they said if they were curious if they still made CPUs, and they did. It's just nobody really bought them. Eventually, when Lisa Su took over, that's when everything changed over from AMD. AMD suddenly not even leveled off with Intel at one point, but really kind of jumped over Intel, especially when Intel was caught. They were, I know this is funny, but they were gluing cores and different like dies and everything on their CPU when they were accusing AMD that they were doing that, and they weren't. It just was Intel. They were doing that. They were gluing different gluing the different cores and dies into their CPUs to help their performance in their CPUs. And what's even worse was these glued products. It was actually a 9th gen CPU, but it went to the 10th gen, and that's where they really messed up, because everybody's thinking that they're getting this whole new generation, but it was an epic failure. If you look up videos of 9th and 10th gen, you would just shake your head. Intel stock. Yeah, I know. The funny thing is, I don't think Intel will get to the point where Intel will go completely bankrupt. I believe that there will always be around, because they're going to be supported, of course, in the US a lot, and through the government. So I believe Intel has a very strong backing, even with their capital. Their capital is actually really decent. I think what's going to happen, it's a very good, honestly, a good investment opportunity for everybody out there, just to put some money on Intel, because Intel can always come back. History always does repeat itself. And that I could see Intel kind of pushing their way back into the market. It might not be the way we think it is, but they will certainly come back. Everybody knows about those cheap plastic i5 8GB 1080p laptops. Yeah. What's up, I guess? Welcome in. If you have any questions, feel free to ask in. We were just discussing on the topic of Intel and their controversies as a company, and just about if they could really be competitive once again in the PC space, which we can see. I'm just curious to see how they're going to do. Once again, if nobody knows out there, which I will gladly repeat, is Liputan. Let me see. I'll repeat once again what he says. And these are his words completely. What's up, Saib? Hey, I'm back. I'm commenting here last week. I got the ASUS Swift Go 14 OLED Ryzen 7 8845HS. That's awesome. How are you liking it? I'm just saying, is Intel Core i5 12th Gen good? It is. Honestly, it's good. Alder Lake's generation is actually an excellent generation. I thought they were honestly going to change something, because they were actually the first ones that have like PCI Express 5, DDR5, and they were the first ones to introduce it. And it's a very stable system, Alder Lake. It doesn't get unstable until the later generations, when they come out with Raptor Lake and the refreshes, and that's where you start to run into different issues. Like from Acer, Dell, HP, ASUS, all those overpriced laptops. So here we go. This is, again, his comment right here. Let's see. Right here. And I will share with you guys so you guys can see it. Hopefully, let me bring that down some. For some reason, it's not showing there. Right there. This is a known leaker, Harukaze, and he's also brought it up. At Liputan, CEO's new IFS strategy, 18A, which node is losing its appeal to new customers. Considering to stop marketing 18A, which is completely everything that has to do with what Panther Lake, and has to do with, now the name just slipped my mind, but everything to do with their current generation practically, and the upcoming generation. And now they want to focus more resources on the 14A against TSMC. So what are your thoughts about that? So, yes, I'm great, G.Skill. I'm just exhausted. Like I said to everybody out here, life has been catching up on me hard. Life has just been throwing so much at me, so I've been just working nonstop practically. My first laptop was I seem to miss some stuff. Okay, my first laptop was ass. It was a Acer TravelMate P215 i5. Google it. Here, AMD is less priced than Intel, like a 4000R less, but 4,000 rupees, I think it is, right? Less than. Still, Intel has more demand in India. Same for GPUs at RTX 4060 at top. No, it isn't. This is actually, I've been streaming since February, I think it is. I think about February. I think you came in before, right, G.Skill? I could have swore you were here before. I'm just exhausted. Because I remember... Yeah, I thought you were... I'm pretty sure I remember you. It was a dreadful 500 euros. I gotta check that out. P215i5. I never... ASUS Travel Mate P215i5. Travel P215i5. Alright, let me take a look at this. This might be a newer one. Appreciate the follow, Key6. This has to be a newer one. Oh no, it's probably not newer. Here, I'll show you. Are you talking about this one here? They probably still give it the same thing, the same name practically. Sometimes laptops are odd like that. They just give it the same name no matter what generation. Because think about it, like with the Zephyrus, and then you also have the ZenBooks, they're all practically the same. I appreciate it. This is, I call this my like warm color tone. So Adley is here. Yeah, I can for game designing PC build. What's up, Ennis? Hopefully everyone's doing well. Is everyone doing okay? Hopefully you're doing great out there. It's been a crazy week. Down here in South Florida, we're expecting a tropical storm to come through. It's nothing serious, just a tropical depression. So it's going to be a rainy weekend for us, unfortunately. But it's great for gaming time, I'll tell you that. My first PC had 900 megabytes of RAM in it. It was the Zeus Storm 724301. I remember when having 1 gigabyte of RAM was impressive. But I do remember those days. In fact, like the first build I had, I think had 1 gigabyte of RAM. The screen bent when you... Oh, really? That's not good. The crazy part is, like, ASUS has two sides. Now, ASUS is pretty good when it comes to... I don't like their standard laptops. But their Predator series is awesome, I have to say. I see. Like a 215, what is it? 1135G, which is more of a power saver. 2.4 gigahertz, 8 gigabytes of DDR4. Just like a really basic laptop, it seems. Like what you would usually use for something like if you're just using the internet or Word documents. Yeah, I'm gonna play solo leveling Arise. You know, I heard a lot about that solo leveling. I gotta throw that in to my watch list for sure because I've heard a lot of great things about it. My first GPU is a Sapphire HD 4650D. Oh, really? That's insane. That's funny. I think I told, if nobody knows, my first GPU like I really had was it was a GeForce. I always forget the name of it because it's so off compared to what they used to be. NVIDIA. Alright. I'll tell you exactly what it was. Because I remember it because I tricked my father into getting it. It was a 6800. Yeah, 6800 Ultra, I think it was. 6800 Ultra from NVIDIA. And it was amazing because it had whopping 256 megabytes of VRAM in there. Yeah, definitely gonna throw that in. Thank you for reminding me. I will definitely add it. And I'm having a hard time with streaming. I have like 0 views on stream and 1 follower. That it takes time. I just have to have, yeah, just keep going. Yeah, you can do it. It just takes a lot of time. Um, Again, like I'm really, I've been streaming on other platforms as well. I'm streaming on YouTube and on Twitter recently now. I don't know if it's really working on Twitter. It doesn't. I don't think it is. I don't think I see myself. I didn't even check, to be honest. I don't see anyone from Twitter in here, at least. I'm 50 this year. My first build, it had 1 megabyte of RAM and 8 megahertz of turbo to 16. My slowest GPU has 512 megabytes of VRAM. It's funny to think because before that was amazing. Oh, I guess it is working. Okay. Yeah, so if you're looking for me, I'm also on Twitter. It's so weird. I didn't notice it till I clicked into my profile, and then I noticed that it was actually working. But I was also streaming on TikTok as well, but TikTok kicked me off for some reason, and I'm trying to get answers, and it's all bots in there. Every time I ask a question to them, it's always like, "Oh, thank you for the information. We'll get right back to you within 48 hours." Nothing. But it had a plastic hinge. That was a big problem. Even like when it came to Nintendo DSs and 3DSs, speaking of plastic hinges, they would always snap. And I remember I fixed my ex-girlfriend's niece's DS because the hinge had snapped. I replaced the whole shell of it because it was a really nice one. It was like one of those like transparent shells. So she was like the only one that had a transparent Nintendo DS, and she loved it. It came out pretty dope. It was like a transparent, like blue color, I think it was. I'm 50. I'm 50 this year. My first build had 1 megabyte of RAM. Oh wow, 800 and 286 8 megahertz turbo to 16. That's pretty insane. So you're more than familiar. Like back then, like my first PC I really touched was like a Sony Vaio, like the Sony Vaio Studio, and they had the big old tower, had the monitor. It was like an entertainment system, and it was expensive to really think about it. Back in '95, it was $3,000 for the full setup, and I remember my pop went to go buy it. He bought the whole set. And we had that computer for years. It was a great PC. It felt like years. Like we had it for a decent 7 years, I think it was. My slowest GPU has 512 megabytes of VRAM. And I was trying to overclock from 800 megahertz to 850. Oh wow. Yep. What's up, Ennis? I see you there. I'm flabbergasted. 1 megabyte. Yes. I'm telling you, those were different times back then. What was it? I remember, I think the Sony Vaio had like 16 at the time. And 16 was like a lot. 16 megabytes. And, the storage drive, I think it was like at 30. I think it was like 30 megabytes or something like that. But I remember when we upgraded it to 60, it felt amazing. Yeah, that existed back then, Tarazine. Like, can you imagine those times? Like, but back then, that was like something. Like, can you imagine? It's like, it's hard to imagine a PC can actually function like that. But things were way less, how do I say? It required way less coding. Like when it came to things like that. When it came to the earlier models. And it wasn't as heavy as it was before. I mean, as it is today. Today it's very, very heavy coding. It was just like really basic coding, like the way it was before. My Wi-Fi speed is so slow. Oh, what's up with your Wi-Fi? What's going on with it? My first laptop was the Redmi Book 15 Pro. Worked great for the 3 years. Checked its specs. Even handled Unity Blender in the beginning. Really? Redmi Book Pro. Fif 15, right? Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. Redmi, but I'm checking it out now, and it seems like I know this company, Xiaomi. It's from. This is a company from China. What make? That's what you would think. You know what's funny? You ever see like some of the videos like where they got Texas Instrument calculators running and playing games like Doom, the original Doom? That's pretty insane. And just to let you know, Texas Instruments were like once like semiconductors too, but now they're just like really they're considered a semiconductor, but they're ones that's mostly focused on calculators. But I don't even know if they really have calculators like that anymore even. So, coding was far more optimized. We all learned C and assembly. Yes. Yeah, it was really simple back then. Now it's like you have to, it's almost like, again, like why you have like different things like full stack where you gotta put together all the codes together to make it work well. Like you have to have like PHP, JavaScript, CSS, HTML, and it just, the list goes on and on. You can list so much that goes on together with it. Have a good stream. I need to sleep. Okay, Ennis. Have a great night out there. I apologize for streaming late for anyone that's in the other side, in the European nations. I would grow a beard and go bald by the time... yeah. Sir, but if you try to load something modern, it would never take it. If you can't get Windows 10 seconds, something is wrong with your... Load times were different. That was a whole different ball game. SSDs, when they came in, it completely changed the way computing went. No way. You got a PC that boots off of a floppy disk? How well does that work? Out of questions. Python is toward, yeah, Python. Python's actually not bad. Python's actually one of the easier ones, believe it or not. It gets more complicated if you go into something like Java. I heard that there are problems with the X870E Apex boards and the latest BIOS. Wanted to ask if you know anything about it. For example, the PBO and CO are not being adopted correctly and so on. With the Apex boards, I have not heard anything about that. I will certainly look into it for you. I will actually put that down into my notes here. Actually, I keep highlighting you, but I will put in my notes and I will definitely look into it and see what's going on. If I find anything, I will certainly let you know. If you're a part of the Discord, I will certainly let you know through there. Let me see. X870E Apex board issues PBO and CO not being. Okay, I will look into it. I'll try to contact. My current load time is 15 seconds. Not on a floppy disk. That would be insane. C node and Python. Yeah. And the thing is, when it comes to coding, yeah, that's actually more complicated too, I would say. But not Python. Python's not as bad. If I had money to spare, I would get a Fruit Loop Studio. You know, it's crazy. They've been around forever too. I've opened it up once. I have friends that were like into like producing and everything, and that's what they would always use is Fruit Loop Studio. And when it comes to, but the way load times were back then, I gotta make a video of it because, like, when you first turn on your PC and your Windows boot screen is coming up, especially like when it was like Windows 93 or Windows 95 or any of those OSs back then, you can imagine how slow it was because you had the window wave, right? You would have the window come up, and then you would actually have a loading bar, and it would just constantly, you would see the bar kind of load up before your windows actually came up. And when it does, it would take a little while. This is when RAM was super important because RAM was there to absorb all your startup programs practically. And so that way your PC can start up the quickest while the hard disk is kind of still loading up. And if your RAM wasn't decent, then it would take forever for your PC to boot. But now with SSDs, it's completely different. You can get FL Studio for free from FileCR, Alexander, bro. There you go. There's your answer. Terzine, Windows 3.11 installs disk span 10 floppy disk and took out a 2 to 3 hours to install. Oh, wow. There is a really popular dudek brand in UK. It's called Pioneer. Pioneer, you know what's crazy? Pioneer actually had, if it's the same Pioneer I'm thinking of, they had decent products. Deck brand is called Pioneer. Let me see. Same company, I would think, right? That's quite insane. Huh, I just realized that. Oh, okay, there we go. I remember when, like, the displays, they used to have DJ deck. Yeah, okay. Yeah, because, it's because Pioneer used to be really big into that market too. Like you would have Pioneer drives before, like you would have CD drives, and you would have the optical drives, and Pioneer was like one of the best ones you can get when it came to like CD burning, which was like a really big thing. People would buy bundles and bundles of CDs to burn, so that way they have either music or have their data or different photos, and I remember just having like a whole shelf, just like full of like optical disc, just like full of those spindles. And now I don't even know where they are anymore. You don't even need them anymore. It feels like they just take up space. Appreciate it, Adali. I'll definitely check it out. Let me see. Right here. Welcome in. Saying what's up to everybody over here in Discord here. So feel free to check it out. I have if anyone's curious about the Discord link, it is free to join. And it is right. I'll just copy it because I don't want it to repeat so crazy like it was earlier. I think it is right here. That's kind of funny how that happens. All right, so copy that. There we go. Perfect. I gotta fix that bot sooner or later because that's a whole different issue. So what is everybody's thoughts of everything when it comes to the PC space when it comes to Intel? AMD hasn't really mentioned too much of their Zen 6 because I know everybody's excited for that too. I'm curious if the naming scheme will still remain the same, if it's going to be considered like a 10, I guess a 10, what would you call that? 105 50X? I wonder how that's going to go. But or 109 50X, depending on how their naming scheme goes. Because the good thing is it's still going to be compatible with AM5 boards. So if anybody has AM5, that it will still work well with your X870Es, your X670Es, your B650s, B850s, A620s. All those boards will be compatible with the new processors. There isn't. Oh, there is. Adali, for anybody that's just joining in, I will share the screen, and I'm sure Alex can help you guys. But what you have to do when you first join in, you have to go up to the top of the list. You'll see a thing called Rules. You click Rules and just hit the green check mark, and that will be your chatting area. You'll see everything will pop up afterwards. You just have to hit the green check mark, and that's how you would join. And I will share it with you guys here so you guys can see it. Let me see. It is right here. You're going to see something like this. And just go down here. It's going to be up here on the rules side. Up here on the top left. You're going to see rules up there. Just click that. And then you'll notice all the other servers will open up. And it'll be right here. You just have to go down to the bottom here and hit that green check mark right there. And you'll be able to join into Discord. But yeah, that's how you would do it. So just hit that green check mark and you'll be good to go. If you need help, Alex is actually our mod here. So he could definitely be able to help you. Well, the big question marks this year is DDR6. I don't think they're going to go DDR6. I think they're going to wait a bit. I think they're going to hold off not for it to happen on the series. Instead, I think they're going to wait for the whole AM6 once that's released. When AM6 is released, or when Intel comes out with their processors, maybe it will. But if they are rushing, if it is true that they're rushing, they may not even release anything this year, if that's true. If they do plan on stopping any focus when it comes to their 18A and go into 15A, they might just wait a whole nother year before something comes out. Maybe they'll end up refreshing Arrow Lake once again. So then you'll have kind of refreshed 15th gen processors, which wouldn't be a very positive thing for them, because everyone knows that this is only temporary and that they're going to come out with a whole motherboard, which could possibly mean a whole different pin set, because they were going to come out with the Intel LGA 1956, but who knows what it could be now. But we could certainly, it would be interesting though, if DDR6 does premiere. I would certainly kind of think we would see it more along the lines with, if it does, I wonder if they're going to try to push more PCI Express 6, but they're saying PCI Express 6 won't premiere until 2030. I kind of find that hard to believe. I would expect it to come out a bit earlier. I wouldn't be surprised if it came out like in 2028 or something, along the lines with DDR6. But it is certainly going to come. And just like how it was for DDR5, and just like how every other RAM set before them, you know it's going to be quite pricey when it first comes out. Okay, so it seems that you have found your way. Welcome in. Welcome, Ardarsh. There we go. Yeah, we'll certainly see it. We will certainly see it. Well, I do like AMD APUs, and they are very memory bandwidth dependent. So if we do get a APU refresh, I'd roll over the two together. It would be nice if that was the case. I'm really curious to see how it's going to be. I personally can't wait to see how well this this AMD ASUS ROG Ally, once that releases, the new Xbox version, the new, what is it, the Ally X Xbox, I guess it would be. And that's supposed to have the Phoenix 2, which is going to be a very decent APU over its predecessor, which was the original Z1 Extreme. The Z2 Extreme should be something amazing, I am thinking, at least, because I gotta tell you, like using the ASUS ROG Ally, I've used it like every other day, and I gotta say it's just a very impressive device, and there's just like so much potential with that device. Not potential, but there's so much you can do, so many games that you can play, and it's just nice to have, especially when you're on the go. Just playing Steam games on the go is really nice. But I am very happy with it for the most part. I even got like this new case like for it and everything to help grip it better. And I've never been uncomfortable gaming on the ASUS ROG Ally. The only thing, of course, the only gripe I have with it, because it is the original one, it came with the 40 watt-hour battery, so the battery doesn't last as long. But I can certainly make it last a bit longer if I'd like, if I limit the wattage to the APO. Instead of pushing like say like 25 watts, I could drop it all the way down to like 15, and that can certainly help the battery life. But it's been a great device overall though. Nothing I can complain about. I've been hooked on Elden Ring recently, so I've been playing Elden Ring wherever I go now. And I'm still trying to complete Expedition 33. I got to go and stream with you guys too, because that's something I haven't got to do in a while because of just how wild everything's been. I've been trying to make sure to get all these like different videos done too at the same time. But it's going to be... Is anyone out there excited for the new Z2 Extreme? Anyone interested in getting the Xbox Ally X out of curiosity? Or is there anybody just waiting for... Because it's possible that ASUS can have something else up their sleeve, and when they release the Xbox Ally X, they could eventually come out with the Ally 2. That would just... Actually, that would end up like getting me upset, because I'd be like, I would have just went for the 2 if that was the case. But if the 2 is really any much more different. But the bigger improvement, I have to say, is when it comes to the newer Allies, is that it's double the battery life. So instead of 40 watt-hours, you have 80 watt-hours, which is a tremendous difference. Do I play Fortnite, Cubics? I do not play Fortnite. What's up, Cubics? Have you tried it with video games like Xreal? I've debated on a Steam Deck with one. I have not tried video glasses. You know what? That's something I'll certainly try. All right, have a great night, Alex. Glad you came in. A good budget gaming PC can beat every console for cheaper if you know what you're doing. 100% agreed with you. As long as if you get the right... That's what I always say, is like once you go gaming PC, it's really hard to go back to a console, because you just have unlimited, boundless ways to game. You could pick any controller of your choice. You have any game at your disposal practically, especially the fact that now you have PlayStation games that are releasing on Steam, which really certainly helps the platform a lot too. Not really platform, but the PC. Have you played Black Myth Wukong? I have not, but I did purchase it on my Steam sale. And for anyone who's curious what I bought during the Steam sale, I have to share it with you guys. The RX 580 does me well. It's funny, that's the that card is actually one of the cards that is recommended for a lot of gaming specs. So having the 580 is certainly that certainly a great budget option, like a super budget option, if you are looking to do like a really cheap build. Have a great night, Alex. So let's see. I want to show you this screenshot because it's going to be pretty hilarious. How many games? More than I can count. Way more than I count. I have so many games I have not even touched. I have games I haven't touched in like 10 years. Like there's games I've been wanting to play, but for some reason I end up playing something else. And my backlog just keeps getting worse, because especially after the Steam summer sale, hopefully everybody out there had some great games. I spent a ton. Not really, I can't really say a ton, but I spent a good, decent amount of money on the Steam sale this year, I have to say. And I'm still tempted to want to buy more games, which is pretty insane. Wait till I show you this. You're going to think it's pretty funny. And I'm just trying to access the folder, and so that way you guys can see it. Where is it? No, it's not this one. It is... Where's it at? No. Here it is. It is... Hang on, getting to it. There it is. Here's my list. So I'm going to share my screen with you guys so you can see it. Wukong is a master. That's what I hear. And I can't wait to play it. It's $50, get 15. You know, I actually ended up getting it. I think I spent like $45 because I bought so many different games, and I'll show you the list. I'll show you. I think it was like 46 if I was to be like exact. But let me show you because it's going to be pretty funny. I'll switch here, and I will switch it to this. Right here. Nope, not that one. I wonder why it's not coming up. Now it's just showing the file explorer. Let's see, streamer bots. Nope. Not coming up. I know what to do. There we go. Perfect. Oh, apologize, mobile viewers. I'm just scrolling it through. But some of these games were on my wish list for the longest. So I was like, I gotta buy it. I'm tired of seeing it on my wish list. I gotta buy it. So these are the games that I purchased. I got Max Payne. I ended up getting Neo. I got Doom Eternal because I heard a lot of great things about it. Neo 2. Persona 5. I ended up getting Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. A good friend recommended me this. Actually, a couple people did. Final Fantasy 7. I got both of them. Black Myth Wukong. It was $47.99. My mistake. Death Stranding. Metaphor. And I got Lies of P. Let me know what your thoughts of the games I've selected. Altogether, it was actually pretty decent. I spent like $313 like total for everything. Not too bad, right? What is your guys' thoughts of that? It's there was a lot of great sales. There's like other games that I still want to get, like Stalker 2. I saw was on sale. Bro, play Solo Leveling Arise game. It's super good game from Netmarble. Made from story and from the famous anime. I love playing it, and the best thing oh really? It's free. I'll definitely give it a shot. It's on Steam, is it? Or is it just or do I have to find it? Really? You spent that much time you can spend that much time in Wukong. 600 hours. Last time I spent like that much time in a game, to be honest, was like Pokemon Crystal. That was like the last time I spent like in a game, like over 600 hours. But that's pretty impressive, I gotta say. I did not know that it was that much content in Black Myth Wukong. And I thought I spent a lot of time in Baldur's Gate 3. That was, I think, the last game that I spent a lot of time on. Baldur's Gate 3, I spent like over 100 hours, I know for sure. Okay. I will search for it on Google then. Solo Leveling. All right, in fact, just send me the link on Discord. And I will definitely look at it. Let me see. Let me wave hi to everybody here. Welcome everyone that came in. But yeah, if anybody has any questions about PC builds or anything, feel free to ask on Discord. We had just a few people who just joined us. It is right here. And Alex, our great mod, is here too. That who just went to bed over there in Europe. So I gotta try that. There's so much I've been playing. So recently, the recent games that I've been playing, if anyone's curious, I've been playing Expedition 33, Elden Ring, and what's the other game I've been playing? And Stellar Blade. Those are the 3 games I've been playing mostly. I was trying to play Monster Hunter's Rise and Doom. They're like on my backlog now for sure. But those are the 3 games that I've mostly been playing. It's been Expedition 33, and it's been Elden Ring and Stellar Blade. Those are the games that I've been playing. I'm on new game plus 16. That's why I just love the combat. Oh, it must be really good then. I'll definitely try it out, especially that it's free. That's something to take advantage of. That was like, the best games are sometimes free. It's funny because even Counter-Strike is practically free now, I think, to them what it used to be. Counter-Strike, I remember you used to have to pay for it. That was like the first competitive shooter that I really enjoyed was Counter-Strike. I'm sure everybody, I appreciate it. I did get it. What's up, Zeno? This Cyber F Wagon. Love the name. Very interesting. Welcome in. I gotta say, Dumbro shared on Discord. Gotcha. I see it. It looks awesome. It looks really good, actually. I can't wait to watch it. How many episodes is it now on solo leveling? I gotta ask. How many episodes is it? Oh, awesome, Zeno. You have all the parts together? What type of build, I gotta ask? What type of build are you going with? Let's hear it. I'll rate your build. I'll let you know. Is it for game? I'm assuming it's for, is it for gaming and for streaming? Because I see you are on Twitch there. I'm sure it's going to be a very decent build. Can your PC handle Q6K Ultra Jiggle physics in Marvel Rivals? I think so. I think it could. Episodes like followed only half at 16K. Yeah, I'll give it a shot. I will let you know. We will find out. I'll definitely stream it though once I do. 9800 X3D MSI Pro X870E, liking the sounds of it so far. 9070 XT, Samsung 990 Evo plus 2 terabytes, G.Skill's Trident Neo 32 gigabytes of RAM. Yes, thumbs up. Awesome build. That is a great build. What type of cooler do you have, may I ask? Don't forget the cooler. Because you're going to want to really cool that thing down. 9800 X3's an excellent processor, I have to say. Definitely one of the best. And it's very easy to do some curve optimizations with it. Deep cool. Oh, that's a great cooler, I have to say. The LQ 360 is a great cooler. And I have to say, definitely a thumbs up on your build. And I don't see any issues. My old laptop that had the Celeron M4000 bottlenecked its own. No way. Really? Deep cool case. I'm curious about deep cool. Those are the only cases I haven't touched. But I am familiar with their AIOs, and they always have very interesting products for the most part. Aiden, with a controller, do you think that the RTX 5070 will be worth it if it gets upgraded to 18 gigabytes? Certainly, yeah. It's going to be, if it's the same price, yeah. $599, but we know realistically it'll probably be like $700. And it's going to, and the CUDA cores are going up too. So instead of it being 6044 CUDA cores, it's going to go up to 6400. It's not a major increase, but it certainly helps. I would say it's worth it. I'm getting the Sapphire Nitro Plus of the 9070 XT2. Awesome. I gotta say, it's one of the best. Actually, that's one of the ones that I reviewed and did a PC build with. Make sure to, don't forget to follow the Twitch channel, by the way. And check out the YouTube channel, my YouTube channel. And I actually have that same exact graphics card on a B850 build with ASUS Tough Gaming Motherboard. And I gotta say, it's a great GPU. has been phenomenal. I appreciate the follow, and it's a phenomenal GPU. And I gotta say, it's definitely the top GPU. And I'm talking about, I compared it with the 5070, a 5090, and the 9070 XT. Out those three so far this year, I gotta say the 9070 XT is definitely my favorites because the price to performance ratio is awesome. Definitely made a wise choice with it. I did look into ASUS, but I was told kind of sucks in terms of customers. Well, I gotta say with ASUS, they are a great company. They do care a lot about their customers. Only thing is, sometimes what I don't like about ASUS is when they don't admit fault. And when there is a problem, they have to admit the fault and fix the problem. That's why we tell it to them. But for the most part, it's improved, I gotta say, from what it used to be. Certainly has improved a lot. But ASUS has made excellent products. And I gotta say, like I said, ASUS is definitely improved over from what they were. So my YMGTX Q060 is fine. It will do BeamNG medium graphics, 4K, 40 FPS, highest, most realistic maps on others will get 60. Oh, a GTX 1060 auto-corrected. This keyboard. But the MSI motherboards is X870. Yeah. So if you go X870, it's better anyway because you're going to... X870 means you're going to have more available lanes. So that's going to help you, certainly. It's going to be... Yeah, I agree. With MSI, they make excellent motherboards as well. And the biggest difference between the X870 and B850 is you're going to have more available lanes. You have a 5 gigabit connection for your Ethernet. And you also have 2 USB-C ports, which are going to be at USB 4. So those are going to be large improvements for you, especially when you are using it. You're going to take full advantage of those ports practically. And what else is it? But other than that, mostly the X870E is definitely the way to go, especially if you're going to be streaming anyway. And you do have the option, especially if you do want to end up using like a capture card later, you can always add it to your PCI Express because you have the more available lanes in there. If you're to do it to another board, it may end up splitting the power, which is something you wouldn't want to do anyway. So X870E is a good choice. So in solo episodes covered, okay, I fell behind here. I apologize. And okay, I see where I am. 1000 watt power supply is just perfect. That's exactly what I got in the B850 build, and it's been holding up really well. Episodes covered when he saved his sisters from monsters attack, like approximately 14, okay, from season 3. I got a lot to catch up because I haven't seen any solo leveling. Do you? Yes, I overclock, but I mostly keep it on a undervolt scale. But I don't do it too much because, like I said, there's not really a lot of value in overclocking unless you're just trying to show off your numbers, really. You can certainly do it, but again, you want to be able to keep your factory settings at a certain extent because otherwise, say if you overclocked very often, companies will know if you're overclocking. If you overclocked your GPU too much, you send it in, they will know you overclocked it because they can see it. So it's not always good to overclock too much. And if you did overclock it, now I'm not suggesting to be a criminal or anything like that, but if you did overclock it and it did something did happen, I would highly suggest to reset it to the original settings. So like when the internal capture card, exactly. So I did the plus 340 core, plus 300 memory on the GT 730 stock cooler. Oh, nice. That's not bad at all. But you know, I do have to say quickly with the 9070 XT, it is very good when it comes to overclocking. Like when you use the AMD Adrenalin software, which is what you're more likely going to use when you do use the 9070 XT, it is awesome. That card is very powerful. in a sense where it gives you a lot of options, especially when it does come into overclocking. The X16, the full X16 of cord. The GPU is pushing 12 anyway. I'm just too scared to overclock, to be honest. I get it. I don't blame you. You're afraid. Oh, nice. I see you, Ardash. You're going to take a watch at that. Sharp's 11 live stream performance. That's going to be good. But I got to say, that's but for the most part, yeah, AMD is the best for overclock. I've done it on a HD 7850 overclocked to Gigabyte and overclocked it further. It's crazy. You could really push the cards. Also, I'm going to get the SteelSeries Apex 5 and the SteelSeries Rival 5 as my peripherals. Excellent choice. SteelSeries is also an excellent brand. SteelSeries is really good for what they are. And I just wish they pushed themselves a little bit harder out there in the marketing side. I feel like they're just getting overtaken by some of these guys, especially like compared to like Razer and Corsair. I feel like SteelSeries is much more deserving to get in place for sure. And I gotta say, what about your headset? Is it the Apex 5? Because I know the... Let me see. I know... Oop, there we go. That's the Q. It's the SteelSeries Nova, I think it is, right? Yeah. The SteelSeries Nova has an excellent headset. I figured that's what it was. I was trying to remember the name of it. That's also an excellent headset. They have some great options too. Like when it comes to their headset choices, if you choose it for PC gaming, it does certainly make a difference when you have a decent headset, especially if you're playing competitive. The GT730 is still good if you want to do video encoding, unless iGPU is better. MSI 1440p, excellent monitor, I gotta say. I currently have the Steel. That's also okay, perfect. Your set, the 9X is even better. That's a great choice, by the way, I gotta say. I do like that headset a lot. Some people complain about it because it's too heavy, but I feel it's relatively decent. My headset, personally, I still use a wired headset, believe it or not. The one I prefer is the Sennheiser. I use the Sennheiser 363. Actually, this is probably one of my longer lasting headsets. This is the PC363D, just because of how lightweight it is. Only pain part is like just, it's just wired in, but it could switch through different PCs. Which controller are you getting, by the way? Are you getting? There's one controller I really want to try. I know Champ. He's also the GameSir G7 Pro. I've heard a lot of great things about that. I think that's the one. GameSir G7 Pro. Let me take a. That one has the Hall Effect sticks on it, right? I heard a lot about this. Details. If I remember correctly, it has Hall... Yeah. Yep, this is it. Yeah, it has Hall Effect sticks on it. I heard a lot of great things about it. It uses the TMR. Oh, the triggers. I'm reading the triggers. Oh, let me see. Joysticks. Oh, nice. I'm just reading the specifications. If anyone is curious about it, I'll share the specifications, especially for those. Let me just switch my window capture here because it's still in the other one here. It's this right here. But the specifications are really decent on it. It's a really nice option. I feel like if anyone out there is looking for a controller, this is what you want to look at. Because I got to do a later review on this. So far, the 3 controllers that I have on this PC, I'm sure you guys probably seen this. I can't remember quite the name, but oh yeah, it's the Phantom Hex Gaming controller here. It's like a DualSense controller, where it's adjustable. It's a great controller, I gotta say. Very awesome. And also the Envision Pro. Of course, the Envision Pro is also a great controller, but it also has its issues, I can say, for sure. And yeah, for the price, it's really unbeatable. If I have another question, if you activate Expo, do you get more points in? No, fortunately not. Yeah, I was gonna say it's probably gonna be less if you activate Expo. That's the funny part about it. It's because the thing about when you use Expo, it's not going to be focused on more CPU performance. It'll be trying to focus overall PC performance. So if you set your Expo setting, you will certainly see less of a number. I think the first thing I'll do when I get my PC is run a benchmark. Definitely do it. Actually, a lot of the PCs, in fact, you know, I can say, oh no, I don't think they have it. I was gonna say, because I know that Intel, like when you purchase Intel, maybe AMD has it too. If you purchase their processor, they come with 3D Mark, which is really nice. It's a great utility to check your benchmarks. If you don't have it, just download it anyway. They do have a demo version called Firestrike. Firestrike's really good to do 3D tests, or even use FurMark. FurMark's really good too. So I guess as I'm back, it's the first time getting a gaming PC and building it, but my question is, what is the difference between a normal CPU cooler and a liquid CPU cooler? Okay, so, so the difference between the two, I'm assuming you're talking about a fan cooler? A fan cooler and a liquid CPU cooler, assuming you meaning like an AIO? There's not really a big difference. I would say the more difference you're thinking of is it's like which method you prefer. Now, fan cooling does work efficiently. AIOs typically stay a bit cooler because you are using liquid over a cold plate instead of using something that's just going to be fan cooled. But both work excellent. It's just all preference and depending on what you're using it for. If you like to overclock, if you have more of a powerful rig, you're doing something like gaming and streaming at the same time, AIOs are recommended. Fan cooling, you can get away with fan cooling with simply just if you're just mostly focused on something like if you're just gaming mostly and you're not really focused on overclocks as much. And a fan CPU cooler I could highly recommend is something like Be Quiet makes excellent fan coolers. Noctua does. And when it comes to AIOs, I highly recommend something like NZXT's Kraken is excellent cooler. And Corsair also makes some great coolers as well. Yes. Oh, normal fans. You mean a normal fan? I've never seen a liquid cooled fan. More like a normal gaming fan. Yeah. You mean like... Oh, do you mean... Is your... No. Are you meaning compared to like having like fans and like a fans and a radiator versus just a fan by itself, just the case fan? Is that your question? Because the biggest difference is the case fan is just focused on cooling the case and that's it. Just making sure you're getting airflow and exhausting the hot air inside your PC. That's all the case fan does. There's no need for any type of liquid cooling on a case fan. But when it comes to a case fan, all you're doing is bringing in the airflow and you're pushing out the exhausted air, the hot air that's going to be inside of your PC. Yes, that's what I was figuring out. That's why I hopefully I gave you both answers there, so maybe that resolved it. Now the fan cooling on a CPU is also a great option. Again, you're not going to push unless you're just like really focused on gaming and that's it, and you're not really doing as much. That would be a great option. Now there is a single fan of Intel for CPU. I think he means that. Oh, the stock fan, the stock CPU fan. If you're talking about the stock CPU fan, that's just pure garbage. That is dumpster fire. If you're talking about that one, you want to get rid of that thing. That thing's gonna build up dust real quick. Thanks. My dog just walked by, so I'm just trying to give him room. Oh, hopefully he didn't move the camera too much. Yeah, don't even bother using the Intel fan. That's just garbage. Like, I got an AIO for my 9800 X3D because I'll be streaming and I need the extra cooling. Yes, yep, but the AIO is an excellent choice. Again, like when it comes to Xeno, like when I looked over your build, everything that you chose is perfect. It's the right choices. You have made excellent choices. The PC gods are happy. Just put it that way. Liquid cooling is the best. I prefer AIOs as well. Most of the builds that I've done is usually AIO. I always go 240 or more. But again, you can always use just a standard CPU fan if you'd like, if you just strictly just game. But AIO, I personally think is a great option. I know people say, oh, what about leakage, or is there problems if it ever leaks? And I've honestly never had that issue, like throughout the many of the AIOs. Let me knock on wood here because I don't want it to happen. But from every AIO I've tested, I have not seen one leak. From MSI, from NZXT, from Corsair, from ASUS, from all of them, and none of them has leaked. I can say the sound levels will be different, but that's about it. But none of them leaked. So, I hope everyone found this live stream to be useful so far. Hopefully this has helped out everyone out there who is thinking of doing a PC build. And if you are thinking of doing one, don't be scared to do one. Can you give me the best budget GPU? Because, like, dude, they cost a lot. I get you. And I would say the best budget GPU, if you're really to get one, is the 9060 XT. Get the 9060 XT. That is 16 gigabytes. That one's probably the best option. Can you show me AIO fan? Like, you mean like just the standard AIO fan? Like, what you want to, or do you mean like, how do you pick one? How would you pick a AIO fan? Like for a radiator? Because what you would want to look for is you don't want to look for CFM, which is going to be your standard kind of flow. You want to look for static pressure when it comes to your fan, when it comes to your AIO. And the better static pressure you have, the better it will pull or push air out of your system for cooling. So usually ones I would recommend is like, I know Corsair has changed up their naming scheme a bit, but and it depends on color scheme too, because you can pick up some really nice Noctua ones, but not everyone is a big fan of like the Dookie brown color that they have. Noctua actually just came out with a new series. I don't know if anyone has seen it, but it's pretty nice. Yeah, they're coming out with their own AIO, in fact. Have you guys seen it? It looks pretty sick. This is their new one that they came out with. I searched an all-in-one AIO known as a liquid cooler. It's a cooling solution for processors combined, yes, into a single unit. So AIO versus liquid. Oh, are you asking about liquid cooling, like straight up custom looping? Is that your question? because looping is going to be different. The LQ 360 is CFM. They will have both readings on there. It won't just have CFM, but it should have static pressure on there too, which I can help you look up. If I look on the specifications for this fan, I'll show you for example. On this Noctua fan that they just came out with. Now, if you look down here, you'll see static pressure. This is what's going to be important, like when it comes to your AIOs. Now, when it comes to CFM, that's a different reading. That's more for airflow. And I can take a look at your LQ 360. So AIO is just the liquid cooler on easy. Yeah, practically. So it's just on easy mode. You don't have to custom loop. And that was the big appeal for AIOs. Yes. Well, see, liquid, I can't say they're slightly different. Not like a large scale difference. Okay, just put it this way. Just as he mentioned, like Adley mentioned earlier, everything is all in one system. You have the pump, and you have the CPU heat spreader for the liquid cooling, the cold plate, and everything is all in one. Compared to where if you did custom looping, you would have to have a separate pump actually. It would look like a little water tank. You had the little water tank, and then that pump would be the one that would be pushing would be the one that's rotating the liquid inside the system practically. So you have your radiator, you have your CPU spreader. It's just more thin. It will look a lot more thinner because if you notice a lot of CPU coolers, they're going to look pretty thick because it has a pump included on there. Now, when it doesn't have that pump on there, it's going to be very minimal looking. If you ever seen a custom looped GPU, they're going to look very small, and it's because all it is a block. That's the word I was looking for. It's just a water block. You're going to have a water block for your CPU. You're going to have a water block for your GPU. Some people go crazy, do it through the RAM, and they do it to whichever part of the system that they like. But they have water blocks for everything practically. But anyway, you put your water block typically on the CPU, and you put it on the GPU, and that's hooked up to your pump and into your radiator. But the reason why it's called a custom loop is because every system is built different. Now, the tubes that you would use, some people prefer more of the soft tubes because they're very easy to work with. You don't have to do any cutting. Some people prefer more of the acrylic tubes where you have to cut it and shape it with the heat gun, which could be a pain and sometimes a bit risky. But when you're done the process, then you test it with the power supply. You use a testing plug, which would look something like, I have one here. Let me see. You would put this one to your power supply, something like this. And what it would do is it would trick the PSU to think it's practically on. And what it will do is you're trying to test the water loop to make sure everything's fitted correctly. And afterwards, if there is any leakage, if you see any leakage, you have to do it again. But after you're finished the process, you have to usually wait about 10 to 12 hours before use. So it's a lot of time, patience, and it's more expensive. Typically, I feel it's not really worth it unless you're really using your system to be to really overclock, for really hardcore usage. So no, I'm not a genius. It's been around a very long time to really understand a lot of this. But that's all it is. The best thing, that's why AIO is just much more efficient. It's just practically you just put it in there. It has, again, the CPU pump already built in. You just use the two plugs that it will have, which will be for your pump and for your CPU. And everything is much more easier now, especially that you have magnetic connections with the fans now compared to even without using harnesses or anything like that. PC building has certainly improved, and it just gets easier and easier every time, I have to say. But I do appreciate all the questions here. Is on the pressure on the... That's perfect. That's actually really good. That type of pressure is really good in Xeno. And again, I feel deep cool products are underrated. They're great products for sure from when I've used it. And 33 is a big improvement. Back when I got the deep cool cooler, currently actually this build that I'm using now, the one that I'm streaming with, actually has a deep cool cooler. The same one, I believe. But back then it had only, I think it was at 30 compared to what it was. So esports ice flow 360, ARGB 360. Cooler. Why no one calls this liquid cooler a custom liquid cooler with a super tough assembly? Yeah. And the iCUE 360 has a screen. Absolutely. You gotta have the screen now. You know what's really sick is I really like the new style screens where it's like a panoramic screen. Where it's like Trix is the one that usually does it. I gotta share this with you because it looks dope. They're just expensive. Right here. You may have seen it before, you may have not, but they are dope looking. This is it here. Take a look at that. Isn't that pretty dope? Like the way that screen is, a full 360, kind of like that panoramic view. It's OLED too. But the thing is that CPU cooler is like, it's like $350, I think. I think it might be even more if I'm not, yeah, $350, right on point. AIO's has been green, better green than I'm getting, certainly. It certainly is. It's certainly the game changer when it comes to AIO's. It's a beautiful thing. There and there's another one that's actually pretty dope. It's I'm trying to think what it looks like. There's another one. I know Height has their own. What was it? It almost looks like a cell phone, actually, this other one. It's actually detachable. It's called the Thick. That's what it is. Tell me if you think this looks insane or whatnot. Here. Take a look at that. Looks like a cell phone, right? Practically like on your PC. Apologize for that getting in your way there. Trying to get a better view. But it kind of looks like this. It's nothing but screen now. Here's a good one. So it would look something like that if you're to hook it up. So the screens just constantly get improved. Here's a good look to see what it would look like inside of like kind of like a PC build here. This one's $250 for this one. Looks just like that. Oh, I appreciate it. Welcome to the Discord channel. It's a phone under CPU. I know. The funny thing is you can actually take this off and you can do something else with it, believe it or not, which is pretty funny. It's pretty sick. If anyone's just joining the Discord, welcome Cubics. I will be actually doing another PC build just in time. It's just the PC build that I am planning to build will be on a 265K. Some of you might be moan and be like, "Oh, how come?" It's because I'm stuck with the Z890 motherboard. I can't just let it sit around. It's actually back there, sitting in the back. But it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen when I come back from Taiwan. I'm going to. The build won't happen right away because I'll be in Taiwan for a good amount of time, for probably about like 4 weeks. I'll be there. I know. It's actually called Thick. Anyone who wants a budget GPU, tell me your budget. I'm a PC builder. Yeah, it looks super sick, bro. Screens under CPU. Looks cool, but they're expensive too. I agree. ASUS actually came out with their own, but the thing, see, I know this is the problem when it comes to ASUS, is they're just expensive. Like they have the Ryujin 4, which is going to be a very nice one. Oh, I put B. The Ryujin 4 looks like this. This is also a very nice one. Very similar to the TRYX that I showed you. But the problem is you will pay the price for this. This is... They don't even list the price. Where is it at? Oh, they just kicked me off of it. Well, it's right here. This is the price of it. It's I think this is 440 USD for this, which is pretty insane, right? That's a lot for AIO. So, let me see. What motherboard for a 9800 X3D would you recommend? For a 9800 X3D, a 5090 is budget GPU depending on what you're... A 5090 is a budget GPU? That's insane. Okay, so for one motherboard for a 9800 X3D that I would recommend would be something like, what are you using it for? It depends on your usage. Are you planning to use it more for gaming or more for streaming and editing? Yeah, this is good. It looks super awesome. So that's the funny part, I gotta say. The crazy thing is, eventually CPU coolers are going to hit that mark where it's like $500. They do have AIO GPUs, if anyone's seen them. They actually have, Gigabyte actually has their own, I think it is, which, it's the 5090 AIO. I posted my link in Discord for anyone that wants there. Oh, perfect. Let me see. Let me wave hi to everybody here. Welcome in. And, oh, perfect. That's awesome. So make sure to check out Discord to check out his build. He has it on PC Parts Picker. If anyone's curious about the build that I have, it's also in the description box down below. Everything's listed from the streaming build to the last PC that I built. I'm glad you figured it out. You know, some people get lost and they don't know to hit that green check mark when it comes to the Discord. That's what I wanted to tell you, but it slipped my mind. I mostly gaming, but I am planning on streaming. So if you're planning on streaming, go for a I would recommend the X870E if you're gonna go streaming, or you could go X670E. But more than likely, you probably could get the X870E for nearly the same price for X670E. Before you question it, it's all New Zealand dollars. I see the NZ. I did catch that on PC Parts Picker. Also, I do have PC builds on my website too. So I do have 2 PC builds up there if anyone is interested in them. One's a RTX 4090. The other one is a RX 9070 XT. The only problem is I only ship within the US because I do not want to risk any type of damage that happens to the PC. Obviously, if it gets shipped worldwide, it's already hard enough to ship it within the US. I get so many people saying everything is overpriced. They're always going to say that. To be honest, everything's expensive now. There's not going to be a really fair price on anything. What brand? I don't want the CPU burning. Oh, now when it comes to the brand, I usually highly recommend ASUS's. I highly recommend this one, the X870E gaming motherboard. A great choice. It's that perfect in-between board for those who want to spend a little extra money, who has the budget to spend, which is going to Again, I can't say too much, but check out the Amazon deals when I have them posted on Sunday. And when they get posted, definitely check out the boards that I have listed. But ASUS is one, Gigabyte's one, MSI. Those three are the top. ASRock, you can go, but that's the one that's where you're risking the burning. But we do have a builder. Someone actually just built their PC off of ASRock just a week ago. He built on the Phantom board, and it looks incredible. He's having a great time on it. He's upgraded the BIOS. He hasn't had any issues, but he's been happy with it, I have to say. Okay, perfect. 4060 or versus the go 4060. 5050 is trash. I will tell you right now. It is junk. You're running at G6 at X8 speeds. No. Don't get the 5050. Laptops can run better. Just put it that way. It is not a good card. Yes. Some people, they again, I highly recommend. I don't know why some people are scared of trying to get AMD. I'm telling you, better deal, and you get more out of it. So if anyone is looking, honestly, I may grab the 4060 as a 3D. Okay, for 3, I get that. For that wouldn't be an issue. Oh, for anyone who is looking for the website, it is this. That is the website if anyone wants to be able to look at the shop. I only got like 2 PCs on there. Let me know you're on my Discord. And if you're in the US and you want a PC, feel free to check it out. Okay, I like the MSI BIOS. I think that's the one. Okay, so MSI is a great choice. Personally, if you go MSI, one of my personal favorites is the Carbon motherboard. The X870E Carbon is a great choice if you do go MSIs. What's even up with it? It's just trash. Just don't even act like it exists. It's that bad. If I show you the specs on it, you just would throw up. I literally did. Matter of fact, I'll show you. It's bad. When I saw it, it was really sad. Let me see here. It was... Okay, here it is. You ready, guys? This is it. This is the 5050 specs. Right there. Anyone with the budget, just get a. I agree with Cubics. 580 is on life. Yeah, I mean, it's still lasting, though. Keep it as long as you can. The last good NVIDIA, none. For 50 series, it hasn't been a great series. 40 series, I thought was going through a rough time. 50 series was even worse. Even though we were promised like great things when it came to the 50 series. Game companies would tell us like, oh, they're doing great things. NVIDIA has a big game changer, but it wasn't the case. That was all false. That was all because of the frame generation. An RTX card can't even ray trace without high-end enough VRAM properly. Most RTX. You see why it's disgusting there? Like, I know you guys can't see me pointing, but look at the bus interference on that. PCI Express X16 5, right? But you see that? It says at X8 at 5. So that means it's practically running at PCI Express 4 speeds. And then you look at the and then take a look at the G6 that it's running on. It's running on G6, and it's only running at 8 gigabytes of VRAM. Oh, 50. Oh, okay. You know, I gotta say that's still, but it's still a legendary series. I say for the most part when it came to the 10 series. I noticed that I had problems with my 4070 Ti. the 4070 Ti should have been better. Yeah, it's crazy because 40 series was honestly not that bad. I honestly thought it was pretty good. It was just the pricing that threw everything off. When they're charging $1,300 for a 4080, that's when people lost their minds. The Nvidia nearly like immediately dropped it $100 off. Remember that? Like the $1,200 just to get people to purchase it because it got a lot of backlash for it. And that's why, like, when it came to the 5080, it dropped down significantly. It dropped down to 1,000. But realistically, it's not really going to be 1,000 unless you get the Founders Edition. And then they had the AIBs, where they charge a little bit more because, again, they don't really have that high profit margin when it comes to NVIDIA. So, which is better in GPU, the RTX 4060 in the same price, bro? Or will it be good for me for game designing? Like I said, like when it comes to game design, just get the 4060 because again, you're not just using it just for game design. You're also using DaVinci and you're also using other tools which relies on CUDA cores, and that's the problem. AMD's good. You can be able to multitask and everything with it, but you will have issues when you go into different types of software applications. But to be fair, the 4070 Ti isn't too bad, but overall, I'd recommend most people stick to AMD. I agree. AMD's a great choice. NVIDIA, but it's got DLSS. That's what they sell it on. It's kind of, you know what? It's kind of like when Apple comes out with a new phone, and the only thing that they change is they added a button. Look through the series 14, 15, and 16. They added a button on each one. Sure, the processor has changed. It's like NVIDIA. That's going to change. The architecture will change. But the overall, it's not really changing. It's not really an upgrade. And that's almost like where NVIDIA is headed into that direction, where everything's software-based. Kind of like, also like the Apple Intelligence, like how they promised that it was supposed to release and it never really did. It's still technically in beta, and that was promised on the iPhone 16. It's almost like NVIDIA when it comes to DLSS 4 and the 5070. They promised that it was going to run like a 4090, but in reality, when I ran it, the 5070, even with DLSS, it was nowhere close to a 4090, not even touching it. But FSR 3 is catching up, and you still can install extra upscaling, and they got FSR 4 now. I have S23 Founders. Oh, yeah. Awesome. If you want a GPU priced at an RTX 4060, you should get a Radeon RX 67. That's a great GPU, actually. The 6800 is good, too. The Galaxy AI is far superior. I agree. Because, oh, my gosh. That's a whole nother story. In fact, it's funny because Apple's getting sued over this now. For everyone who bought that iPhone 16, they promised them Apple Intelligence, but that never really had true intelligence in there. And it somehow got worse, Siri. It really did. Thanks a lot, brother. I was too much stressed for GPU choice. You cleared my doubt, as GPU is very important for game designing. Yes, absolutely. A lot of companies will use NVIDIA as like the trademark, the standard. Because it's not only because it's the most common GPU that's used in a lot of rigs, so that's why they go NVIDIA. Unfortunate, but it's true. It's insane the price of Polaris cards. They are even capable of 1080p. Sometimes even on 1440p cards that cost $40. Yeah, no, it's true. What size and what brand? Okay, so for this monitor you see here, this is called this is ASUS's PG34WCDM. This is their ultra-wide. I believe I have it in the description box down below. If I don't, let me know. I can send it to you. I do have a video based on it. It's an OLED monitor. It is awesome. 1440. It's 3440 by 1440. Originally, the only issue that it really had was that the HDR colors weren't great. And then with the latest update and firmware, that went away, and there was no problems with HDR afterwards. The other monitor I have here is the LG 34C. What was it? Something. I forget the numbers on this one. It's been a while since I bought this monitor, and but this one's a great one. It runs at 180 hertz, and it is also has like this RGB in the back, which is really nice. It gives a really nice aesthetic wall-wise. But they're both great monitors. Didn't have any trouble with either one besides the HDR issue. I use a TV, bro. Nothing wrong with the TV. If it's OLED, you got low latency. So the only problem I have with the 4060 is the 8GB VRAM, which can crash while running Blender as VRAM extensive. That's why some guys told me it's better to get more RAM. And a 3060 again is technically better than 4060 because it's kind of like as we progressed further in GPUs, it's kind of like we went backwards on the lower end at least. Like the 5080 is technically like a 5070, they say. Same thing with the 4080 is technically a 4070. But the last true 3070 was like the last true 3070. So when it comes to the 3060, it's like the same way. I got a 6600 XT for my ITX build. It's a great GPU. But 4060 is more about power and raw and GPU. Isn't all about VRAM. It's CRT and it's old. How? No way it's CRT. That's hard for me to believe. If it's CRT, there's no way. How are you hooking up an HDMI port to it? Is my question. Unless you're using like a converter, like an adapter. I am the 4060 Defender. Nothing wrong with it. Again, we all start from somewhere. We all have a budget to start with. We got to use the Ryzen 4070. Not about performance, but it's low wattage and low profile. 115 is insanely low for it. Absolutely. So guys, I hate to, yes. Don't use 4060. So FanBam guys, hopefully everybody has enjoyed this live stream. I will live stream again this upcoming Saturday. I usually live stream 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. Eastern time. And I will also, if you haven't joined the wonderful Discord, make sure you do. Feel free to ask questions. Feel free to chat. It is an open forum. And also, if you haven't already, feel free to follow and subscribe to the channel. Hopefully, I will see you this upcoming week. I look forward to it. And I hope everyone out there, if it is late out there, I hope you guys do have a great night. I do appreciate all of you. Thank you guys for joining. And I will, for Gino, let me know your Twitch. I will find your Twitch. The GT210s are better. I love buying GT210s in bulk. And appreciate you guys. Thanks so much. And I'm gonna take this little guy, the mascot, out for his nightly walk. Have a great night, everybody. I do appreciate it. And if anyone feels like they forgot to ask a question, thank you. I will try to recover. Oh, it's nighttime here. All right. Have a great night, everybody. I think everybody, it's nighttime, as I'm assuming. Anyone in the day, hopefully you have the great rest of your day. And hopefully I see you this weekend. Hopefully I see you guys soon, FanBam. GT. Feel free to post your question on Discord. I'm sure somebody will take it. Good night, everybody. Much love to everybody out there.